This is Change Your Mindset Podcast, the podcast that helps change your life by helping change the mindset of the 99% into the 1% mindset. Here's your host, Adrian Gomez.
Welcome back to another podcast episode of Change Your Mindset. As always, I'm your host, Adrian Gomez. There's a lot I've been seeing lately. Young people, or even middle-aged people, are either staying with their parents or moving back in with their parents. Most of the generation is Gen Z and Millennials. I'm starting to see more and more often. They're staying with their parents instead of going out in the world on their own. I get times are tough. I get everything is more expensive. The problem is nowadays, when times get tough, people give up. People don't fight. People don't work harder. Because this world, this life is cruel. And if you don't toughen up, it will eat you up. Nobody said this life was going to be easy. At the end of the day, it's going to be survival of the fittest. Only the strong are going to survive. Because most people are becoming weak, sensitive, feel entitled to free stuff, complain, whine, and the list go on of excuses. Nobody cares about excuses. Nobody cares about your problems. Nobody cares about your issues. We all have them. We have to take care of them on our own. At the end of the day, nobody is coming to save you. No one's going to come and give you free money. No one's going to come and help you out. You're on your own. It's you versus the world. And in my opinion, I like those odds. If it's me versus the world, those odds sound great to me. But most people don't even try. They quit and give up. When things get too difficult, they quit. They don't even want to keep going anymore. Because it's so easy to quit nowadays. That's why everyone does it. No one wants to keep going because it's difficult. It's hard. It's not easy. And that's why younger generations, not all people, but mostly younger generations, are becoming weak. Men are becoming fragile. That's why weak men are existing nowadays. Because no one knows how to fight anymore. People are just brainwashed by whatever they listen to, whatever they watch, whatever they see on social media. Because they care more about other people's lives than their own. Instead of working on their own life. If times are tough, and you have enough money, it's a land opportunity for a reason. You can get another job. You can find a better job. You can learn a new trait to make you money. You can do this side hustle. There's so many ways we can make more money if times are difficult, if times are hard. But no one wants to do it. People rather live with their parents rent-free and not have any type of work to do. They want no responsibilities. They don't want anything. They rather just live life. And that's not reality. Because if people's parents aren't around and you're on your own, then what? And just think about for the parents, how's it fair for them that they can't retire because their kid can't grow up, can't be a responsible, grown adult. And they still have to take care of them. Some parents are fine with that. And by all means, that's fine. Once you hit a certain age, you gotta be on your own. You gotta be an adult. You gotta grow up. Stop relying on your parents and do it on your own. Be a responsible individual, be an adult, and face society. You got to face this world head on. And this world is going to determine if it's going to eat you up and you're going to fail, or you can keep fighting and succeed. There's this quote, and I've talked about this quote before on other podcasts. I have this quote on my wall, and it's from the Rocky movie, from Rocky Balboa. And this quote relates so much to the real world, to life. It's 100% true. And I'm going to read you this quote that I have hanging right in front of me on my wall. The quote is, "The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently, if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done." That's the end of the quote. Unfortunately, nowadays, when times get tough, people just quit. People just fall into a little cradle and give up because life is too damn difficult. That's what's wrong with people's mindsets nowadays. People just have a weak mindset and they let their mindset dictate their life. Even though they can have a great life, but they let their mindset be weak and they don't strengthen their mindset. And just to prove to you that this is really happening with Gen Zs and Millennials, New York Post posted an article on January 25th, 2024. And the title is Most Gen Z and Millennials Are Financially Dependent on Their Parents. And this is by the Pew Report. The article starts off, more than half of adults 18 to 34 years old rely on some sort of allowance from their parents. According to a study released Thursday by the Pew Research Center, Gen Zers 18 to 24 are most likely to depend on their parents for financial support. In fact, more than half of this cohort survive thanks to their parents helping to pay for basic household expenses. According to a Harris poll commissioned by Daily Pay, just 1/4 of Gen Zers can pay all of their bills on time. Many Gen Zers and Millennials have even given up on having their folks send them money, choosing to live with them instead. They're living at home with their parents in greater numbers than any generation in recent history. It's not just those newest to adulthood who are struggling to afford their basic needs. Almost 1 in 5 adults aged 30 to 34 have their parents chip in for their household bills. Overall, only about 45% of 18 to 34-year-olds are completely financially independent from their parents, the Pew survey found. It's not necessarily that Gen Z and Millennials are spoiled or bad at money. Rather, these generations have amassed more debt chasing the American dream than their parents. Approximately 40% of adults between 25 and 29 have a college degree today, compared with 24% of the same age group in 1993. But about 43% of those Zennials, people on the cusp of Gen Z and Millennial status, have student debt today, up sharply from 28% in 1993. Those 29 to 34 years old have about $190,000 in mortgage debt today, compared to $120,000 in 1993, when adjusted for inflation. American adults today are also older when accomplishing other common life goals like promotions, marriage, and parenthood, and most people recognize the struggle. Most Americans agree that young adults today face more challenges than their parents' generation, particularly when it comes to saving for the future, paying for college, buying a home, and finding a spouse, a 2022 Pew Research Center study found. Experts have noted that financial and cultural changes are likely responsible for adults today delaying when they achieve key milestones. We're likely to see young adults continue to put off important financial and personal milestones because they just can't afford them. Matt Schultz, Chief Credit Analyst at LendingTree, told the Post in 2022. They'll keep waiting longer to marry, have kids, buy a house, or start a business, he added. Some things Gen Z and Millennials can't afford, and others they simply don't want. Although a majority of those who continue to rely on their adult allowance are confident that they're on their way to becoming financially independent, they just might choose a different life path with that independence. And that's the end of the article. Just shows that younger generations can't survive. It's not a bad thing when you're out in the real world and you're on your own. Because at that point, you have to figure things out on your own. You have to find a way, and when it's all on you, you have to figure it out. But a lot of people lost that way. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to survive. They need someone telling them what to do. And that's a terrible way if you need to survive, if you need someone to tell you what to do. If you can't figure things out on your own, you're going to fall behind. You will be left in the dust while everyone else succeeds. And that's a lot of people. Like I said, I even know people in their late 20s, 30s, early 30s, even in their mid to late 30s, and people in their 40s who still live with their parents. At a certain age, you have to move out. You have to be an adult. You have to go face the world head on. And like I said, I know people who still live with their parents. It baffles me and it's crazy that people don't want to be on their own. People just rather live with their parents, and that's it. This just shows what type of generations are being created. To not go on their own, to not figure things out, to not go out there and face the world head on. There used to be a time with our ancestors would actually have to go out and provide for their family on their own. They would have to survive. They didn't have the market. They couldn't go to the market and get food. They actually had to go out there and hunt. They couldn't just go to an apartment and rent out a room. They actually had to build a shelter for their family with their own hands. If they had to get to a destination, they would have to walk or ride a horse. But now we could just get in a car. We have it so much easier nowadays, but people still complain. People still say they cannot survive. So much easier today compared to back then. We have it good, and we still complain. This is why society is so weak, because people can't do things on their own. Even though you have it so good, you have it so easy. Nowadays, it's easy to make money. You have the internet. The internet's the easy way to make money. There's so many options you can make money using the internet. They didn't have the internet back then. There's so much opportunity, but yet here we are, kids still living with their parents because the real world is too difficult for them. This is the society we're raising. This is the generations that are going to be the future of this world, which is very scary. That's why I always say weak men, because men are not men anymore. Men don't know how to survive. They don't feel like doing anything because their feelings or their emotions are involved. If you have to do something, just do it. Don't complain and whine about it. Just get it done. But that's what society is falling apart. And this is what happens when you have stuff like social media giving influencers power over kids and young adults. Doing these dumb trends, these dumb dances, doing these dumb videos that does not help your life whatsoever. Doesn't benefit you. Keeps you in the same situation as you are. And this is why people can't survive. You're too busy looking on dumb stuff on TV, social media, and going out and wasting your time. And buying dumb things you don't even need. But at the end of the day, this is our society nowadays. That's why everything's so upside down, everything's so messed up. And that's why people need to change their mindset. And if they want to change their life, that's how you do it. You want to change your life, you got to change how you think, change the way you act. You need to change your mindset. Otherwise, you're going to be like everybody else, living with their parents, or surviving, asking for allowance because they can't pay their bills, complaining and whining how life is too hard, life's not fair, the government's against me, everything's so expensive, I'll never own a home because there's so much money. Complaining. Makes no sense. If something's tough, you gotta be tougher than that. You gotta put your big boy pants on and go to work. There's never an easy way out. You have to work hard. That's life. If you want things in life, you have to work for them. But most people don't want to work for anything. People just want things for free. That's why people like socialism and communism now, because people want free stuff. They don't want to work for it. They don't like capitalism because they're lazy and complain and they whine. And they just don't want to work. And that's the direction we're going in society. That's why these podcast episodes and messages I give, I never tell you complain. I never tell you be a victim. I never tell you whine. If things get tough, well, so be it. You got to get to work and you got to make the best out of it. I have to go through hardships too, but I don't complain and whine about it. Yeah, it sucks. I don't like it, but what am I going to do about it? Be a victim of this world and be like everybody else and complain and say, why me? Why is the world doing this to me? Why can't I just have success like that? It doesn't work like that. And I don't want an easy life. I'd rather have a difficult life because that's what builds character, builds you into the person you can be. If you're given everything, what kind of person are you? You don't work for anything. You're just going to be an average person with no backbone. You won't know what work ethic is. You won't know how to survive because you're handed everything to you. And that's what makes people weak. And that's why I always say men nowadays need to toughen up. So many weak men. It's unbelievable. And I only can speak for men because I'm a man. I can't speak for women because that's not my place. So that's why I see a lot of men always complaining and whining, doing nothing about it. It's sad. Men aren't men anymore, which is a damn shame. They could be, but most men don't want anything more of themselves, though it can be an average. I'm sure most men, like I even know men myself, family members and friends, who still live with their parents. They are in their 30s and in their 40s, still living with their parents. So tell me this, are they men? Are they surviving on their own? Or are they still getting handouts? Because this world is going to test you. This world is cruel. And if you're a man, we will find out if you're a man or not. But most men aren't anymore. Because when things get tough, they give up and they quit. And that's not how men were created. Men were created to be tougher, to get things done, no matter what situation you're in, no matter what the environment is. You were created perfectly to get anything you want. But people don't want to, because people have a weak mindset, and people follow the crowd, and everyone is a sheep. And they rather live on social media than improve their own lives. And that's why the article says, Gen Z and Millennials still rely on their parents. That's sad. Obviously, I'm not saying all of them. There are a few people that work hard and they get what they want. And those people are fighters. And I like to be with people who are fighters. But so very few. Like I said before, I rarely come across people who fight for what they want. Rarely. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Nearly impossible. If you want something in this world, you go out and get it. You don't complain and whine about it and wish and hope for it. You go get it. That's how the world works. That's reality. If you're tough and you think you're strong, go out there in the real world on your own. Don't be living with mommy and daddy anymore. Go out there and see how cruel this world is, how tough it is. And then you'll find out what type of person you really are. Because nowadays, as I just said, most people don't know how tough the real world is. Because they're comfortable and feel safe with mommy and daddy. And that's the truth. You don't know how it feels to when there is rent, you have to pay every single month. And if you don't have the money, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive? If you have bills to pay and you don't have money, what do? You're going to work another job, get a side hustle. You got to do what you got to do to survive in this world. And that's going to build character. That's going to build strength. And that's going to build you into that great person you can be. But you got to test yourself. Life is a test. And it's going to test you over and over again. Every single day. To see what type of person you truly are. And hopefully you're one of those people that when times get tough, you fight. You fight through it and you come out on top. Because there's not many people like that in this world anymore. Hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast. Actually, not hopefully. I know you're one of those people. Because you're listening to this podcast for a reason. To get better, to improve, and to be the best version of yourself. So I know you're that type of person. So go out there and face the world head on. And let everybody else fall behind. Because at the end of the day, survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive. And unfortunately, the weak will perish. That's the real world. That's going to be it for this podcast episode. As always, I truly appreciate you taking time out of your valuable day to listen to these podcast episodes. And thank you, Patreon member Blade262, for being a Patreon member and supporting the podcast. If you want to be a Patreon member, if you have questions, comments, a subject you want me to talk about in a future podcast, or if you want me to be your accountability coach, you can do that by being a Patreon member, and the link will be in the description below. And if you are a Patreon member, it truly does help support this podcast, and it does help a lot, and I appreciate it. As always, please like, share, and subscribe the podcast and the episodes. Truly help support this podcast, and I can't do it without you guys. And I thank you as always. That's going to be it for me. As always, I appreciate you guys. I wish you the best. I wish you success. And as always, work hard and you will get what you want in this world. And as always, change your mindset to change your life. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Mindset podcast. Be sure to tune in every week for a new episode. As always, change your mindset to change your life.